Okay, so in the previous section we have covered weather effects. So now let's see how we can integrate AI NPC characters to our level so that we can visualize the pedestrians on the road system. Okay, so for that also I'm going to create a new map and we can organize all of those testings on that level. So I'm going to simply duplicate this map showcase, call this one as map underscore pedestrians. Okay, and open that up. Now I'm gonna remove these mannequins now and this ramp, so we have this default level. Okay, so it says to add weather manager and TOD manager, so let's add those to here. Let's add 3 of them: level manager, TOD manager, and the weather manager. Level manager, I have nothing to be configured specifically, but I have to specify the landscape. So I'm going to select this landscape. And for the TOD manager, it's just default time that I have to apply. And I'm going to disable the day-night cycle just for the time being. And as the weather also, I'm going to keep the sunny weather and disable these dynamic weather transitions. And we don't need these lightning effects anymore because TOD manager will handle all of those stuff for us. At the TOD manager, as the time, I'm gonna give like maybe 10. Okay, we are good to go. Right, now we have to add or we have to set up some basic functionalities to implement our AI logics. So for that, let's just go to the characters under the blueprints. We have this NPC base class where I specify all the NPC related activities. So if you open up the NPC base, it just implement nothing, it just inherited from the character base as usual. But here we have to implement our own AI controller to control this specific pawn. Okay, so for that I'm gonna first create a folder called base, and let's move this NPC base into that base directory. And over there I'm gonna create another folder called AI to organize all the AI related artifacts. So there I'm gonna create a new blueprint class, and there let's search for AI controller. Right, so this AI controller is the pawn controller that I require to control the NPC characters. So if you go down, there is 2 other specializations that inherited from this AI controller. We have detour curve AI controller and grid path AI controller. So these are implemented some features that we require to navigate on the level in more intelligent way. So I'm going to use this detour crowd AI controller instead of directly using AI controller. Okay, select that up, and let's rename this one as BP underscore NPC underscore AI controller, and open that up. Okay, and essentially this AI controller should run a behavior tree to execute multiple different AI behaviors. Okay, so for that also let's create a behavior tree. So I'm going to go to the artificial intelligence section, and over there let's create a behavior tree, and I'm going to name this one as BT underscore NPC. Open that up. So essentially this sorry I think by accident I did press delete. So let's create it again, BT underscore NPC. So let's open that up. Right, so essentially this one is a tree like a visualization to implement the branched AI logics. Okay, but just for the time being, I'm gonna add a simple sequence, and over there I'm gonna simply add a weight. Right, so this sequence is a sequence of individual tasks, and these are the tasks. Right, so likewise, we have multiple different tasks that is given default by the engine, but later on I'm going to create my own custom task as well, because we need much more intelligent behaviors for our pedestrians. But anyway, just for the time being, I'm going to keep this one as weight. Okay, and the next thing what we need is we need to define some variables or maybe hold some context on this behavior tree whenever we are making AI decisions. So for that, we can implement a blackboard that essentially control the context for this behavior tree. Right? So currently you can see this blackboard icon or the tab has been disappeared because we haven't created a blackboard and plug it to here yet. So let's quickly create a blackboard by selecting it from the artificial intelligence section, and I'm going to simply call this one as bb_npc. Open that up. Right, so here you can see it holds set of keys as variables, and currently we have this self actor object, but later on we are going to add multiple different keys. So you can see here, if you click this new key, you can add these type of keys into your blackboard. Okay, save it. Now go to the behavior tree, and there you should be able to use this blackboard. Right, maybe you have to create a dedicated blackboard directly from this behavior tree, otherwise it may not plug properly. So I'm going to simply delete this blackboard reference, and then let's go to the behavior tree, and I'm going to create a blackboard by clicking this button over here. Right, new blackboard, and it will ask for the directory. So our directory is npc base AI, and the name should be the given name, which is bb_npc. Save it. Now you can see it creates a blackboard for us, and also this tab has become enabled again, so I can switch to the blackboard mode like this. Okay, right, so now we have our blackboard, behavior tree, and the idle task, which is wait. So now we have to run this behavior tree by using our AI controller, and the AI controller should run this behavior tree once the pawn has been processed by this AI controller. So for that, actually we can use the event called event process. So I'm going to delete this one and add event on processes. Right, and then we can simply run the behavior tree there. And the behavior tree asset should be bt_npc. Compile, save. Now at our npc base, we have to plug npc AI controller as the default AI controller for npcs that refers to this specific class. So just go to the details panel and search for AI controller. Right, and here you can see as the AI controller class, it by default given this AI controller default class, but I need to override it with my own implementation, which is bp_npc AI controller. Compile, save. Also, this AI category implements set of other configurations as well, so I'm gonna simply search for AI. Right, so here under the pawn category, that is AI controller class is there that we just updated, and this one auto process AI is currently set as placed in world. So this essentially means the AI controller will be default inherited by whatever the npcs that we have been currently placed in the world manually, right? But I need to inherit the same AI controller class for whatever the npcs dynamically spawn on the level. so that I have to select this one as placed in world or spawn. Okay, so make sure to change this one as placed in world or spawn. Otherwise, if you spawn dynamic NPCs on your level, they may not be controlled by our AI controller. Compile, save. Right, now if I go to my level, no, before that actually let's create a child instance based on this NPC base. Let's just say create child blueprint class. I'm going to call this one as bp underscore ped underscore, let's just say male. This is just a male pedestrian character. Okay, and I'm gonna move it to the NPC directory. Right, now let's paste that guy over here, and maybe I'm gonna rotate my player start onto that direction. Right, now if I play, our guy is there and he's carrying this briefcase, and he's like sort of switching the elements. That happens because at the NPC base I have attached this inventory system, and here I have enabled the runtime inventory item swaps. So let's disable it for now, and as the default inventory I'm gonna select no item. Compile and save. Right, so now there is our NPC with the default anim set. Also, I can show you side by side how this behavior tree works when our character is possessed. So look at how this execution hierarchy works. So it first executes this AI controller over here, and once it processed, it runs this behavior tree, and once it runs this behavior tree, it will go to whatever the next possible sequence that can be executed. So in our scenario we have only one sequence, and it will execute this sequence, and within the sequence we can encapsulate multiple set of tasks, but currently there exists only one task, which is wait, and it will execute that task over here. Right, so I think we have a default foundational setup now to implement much more complex AI behaviors later on. Yeah, so in the next tutorial, let's see how we can move this NPC along the level instead of waiting like this.